Yes, winter is coming, but so is War Games. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your NXT TakeOver War Games 2020 Go Home Show, here with your NXT for December 2nd, 2020 review. And let's not break with tradition, shall we? Let's go to the house cleaning first and foremost. As you will have just noticed, the intro is different, and here's a spoiler alert, the outro is different as well. If you saw my preview for AEW Winter is Coming, you will have noticed it for the first time on there. Here's the deal. You guys know I'm not monetized on this channel. You guys know I don't make a cent on this channel. It's just for fun. It's just so I can hang out with you guys, hang out with my cool co-hosts, and have a good time. So every single time that I put a video up and it's listed as, you know, copyright infringed, copyright infringed, copyright infringed, because I love my Hailstorm. I loved having Get Lucky as my intro, because the first line of the song is literally Legend of the Phoenix. I thought it fit pretty well. I loved having Freak Like Me as the outro, just because I love that song in general, and I think it worked. But in the past, say, week or so, it's gone from just notifying me that I have a copyright claim, and then if you go into the details, it says you don't have anything to change about this because you don't make money, and by the way, we're gonna fuck off now, to banning it in certain countries. Now, I don't think I have huge audiences in Korea and Syria and a couple of other places where it was banned, but I don't want my stuff to be banned anywhere. If I suddenly have a huge Korean following of this channel, which isn't going to happen, but that's the thing. So that was a troubling development there. So I went and I found the literal most generic copy-free music I could find. Total hands on the table for anybody that listens to the Simon Miller podcast. I do believe these are the same tags that he uses. I happen to like them, and everything else is even more generic and more not what I want than this. So literally what you're hearing right now as intro and outro go, if you care about the intro and outro, it's just placeholder shit until I find something that I actually like, which probably means it's the new intro and outro for a while. That being said, thank you to everybody that came out and checked out the preview that I did for Winter is Coming. I mentioned it there, and I'll mention it again here. There is a big difference between me doing NXT content with Jake and me doing AEW content with Guapo. Now, not to say that one's better than the other, I'm more invested in NXT, so when I do an NXT preview like I'm going to do with Jake hopefully in the next day or so, it is a very one-to-one conversation. It goes without saying, and I should say it more often, when it comes to the AEW stuff, from All In until right now, I really do lean on Guapo a whole lot, so the not having that and doing the AEW preview solo, I really did go in there and just ramble. I didn't have any notes. I had the Wikipedia in front of me, and I just rambled about shit. So everybody that came out and checked that out, I appreciate it. Thank you. I know I saw a lot of people on Twitter that were sharing it around for me. The typical people that do, you know who you are. I mean, Jake was sharing it around. I know Joe was showing it around. There's names I'm going to forget, and that makes me a shitty individual. But thanks for coming and checking that out. I don't know if I'll do that again for AEW, because I don't have a firm enough foot on the ground, because it is the secondary show to me, and I'm not taking my typical AEW dig. You guys know what I do every week. I watch NXT. I come and talk to you guys about NXT. The NXT review is still the flagpole of this channel. And then literally I'll do this video that you're watching right now or listening to right now if you're listening in podcast form. And while I was editing this, I had AEW on in the background. So it's not the same. When people hear that, you know, the first time I ever saw Thunder Rosa was in AEW, and they're surprised that I didn't see them beforehand, and Brian Cage, same thing. That's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing you get cool hosts for. So Shout out to Guapo. I know he recently celebrated his anniversary, so Guapo and Mrs. Guapo, shout out to them. Go bug him at Guapo_504 and tell him that he's a good dude. For that matter, go bug Jake at Countdown Ended as well, just for reasons. Now, what I can tell you about, and you want to check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list right away, is NXT's ties to Destiny Wrestling's, or at least potential ties. Now, I blew you guys up when I heard SHOTZI was coming to NXT because I was really excited. I had already seen SHOTZI. I had met SHOTZI. SHOTZI's a pretty kick-ass chick, especially if you go listen, and I'm going to keep plugging it because it's still awesome. I listened to it again today. Go listen to the interview she did with Lillian Garcia. She's just a kick-ass chick. But it was one of those, like, hey, I knew this person. I saw these people perform live. I saw them perform in my local Fed, right? So when I go to other people that are well known from Impact or from ROH or from wherever that I don't know, but I see them at Destiny, to me they're Destiny people. Now, they announced a couple more people signed to the Performance Center. Now, I don't know all of them, and I'm not here to review that right now, but one of them is Wentz. I think that's how you pronounce it, W-E-N-T-Z, who is in The Rascals from Impact. Now, I don't know anything about Wentz. I don't really know anything about the Rascals other than they are a team that was in Impact and got let go recently. But I do know that one of the members of the Rascals was former Destiny Next Generation champion Trey Miguel. So as much as I want to get excited for Wentz, I really do want to think that this is leading in to us getting Trey Miguel in NXT. I don't have anything to base that on whatsoever. But it's other than just wish list stuff. There was a rumor that Tyler Bate was going to get involved in War Games on Sunday, and I thought between SHOTZI and Pete Dunne and possibly Tyler Bate, there's a lot of people that I've seen live at Destiny going to be on this pay-per-view. Unfortunately, at least according to this show, that's not happening. But we got the guy Wentz, and he's in there, and he's good. Another name that's in there is Alex Zane, who I couldn't tell you very much about. I've seen exactly once at Destiny. Very, from the little bit that I've seen of him, which isn't much, I'll be perfectly honest, very, very young Jeff Hardy kind of vibes, and you know that's right up my street. So congratulations to Wentz and to Alex Zane and to all the other people that just got signed to the PC that I'm not familiar with whatsoever. Let's see what they do. We need to get some cruiserweight action in there. We need to get some mid-card action in there. So we'll see how they do, is all I've got about that. But if I can draw that little tiny line, we get another former Destiny champion in an NXT, I'll be a happy kid. And you can do the Spaz Phoenix bucket list maybe twice a video. Who knows? There are more videos coming to the channel now, all things being equal, because nothing has been recorded just yet. Plans are that Jake and I are going to preview War Games. Now, if something does come up, and if for whatever reason Jake and I cannot get together to preview War Games, I will be up here again solo talking about War Games because I'm ridiculously excited about this show. Now, also, all things being equal, there is something else that Jordan and I are, or I should say Guapo and I are working on in the AEW realm. Now, if you see the series that Jake and I just started recently for NXT, I'm pretty sure you can predict what that is for AEW as well. And as you guys know, I've got 2/3 of the Joker trilogy up in FlixFix from myself and Kristen. We are going to be doing the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie eventually. I hope maybe in the next 2 weeks or so, but that one's a little more on the loose ends. And now we get to the end of the house cleaning, and that's just me plugging my socials. Literally, the bullet point on the Doomy Clipboard of Doom says here, plug the socials. So, Spaz Phoenix on Twitter, Spaz Phoenix 1 on Twitter, Spaz Phoenix on Instagram, Spaz Phoenix Podcast Facebook group, and if you're watching me right now with the pretty sexy face and the gimmick hat, you want to see me in an audio platform, go to any one of your audio platforms and search Spaz Phoenix Podcast. If you are listening to me right now, which means you don't see the pretty sexy face and you don't see the gimmick hat, you come to YouTube and look up Spaz Phoenix. You'll find me there. that's about it. We're still we're getting there. We're getting real close to my really tiny goal of 1,100 subs by December. We are actually in December right now, being that it's December 2nd, and I was born in December. If I hadn't just made the change to using copy-free music, I was thinking about using My December by Linkin Park as the intro for at least one of these videos, but I don't know what that's going to do to me copyright-wise, so instead, I'm just going to encourage you. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have good taste in music, so a lot of you like Linkin Park, right? Right, there we go. So go, after you're done listening to this, go pull up Linkin Park on your Spotify or whatever you listen to music on, listen to My December, and think about your buddy, your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the NXT reality check. And then we can talk about wrestling, because yes, wrestling. Show started off with everybody out on the stage in a more serious moment, talking about the recent passing of Pat Patterson. I mean, obviously, historical WWE figure, first ever Intercontinental Champion, I believe first ever openly gay active wrestler in WWE, or in a lot of places in his time, so good for him on that. There are other controversial accusations that have been thrown his way that I don't know all the details of, and I don't know if they're true or not, so I'm not going to speculate on those here, and it's not the right time to do that. We did do the announcement, we did do the tribute. It was set to My Way, which I thought was a really nice touch. The only surprising thing, I will say, because we usually we get the tribute, or we get a photo in the 10 bells or whatever. It does make a difference. To get everybody out there on the stage for a second, it does make a difference. But at the same time, the wrestling industry has established their own way of mourning and their own, traditions and pomp and circumstance and all that sort of thing. I was really surprised that they didn't do the 10 bells. Now, I'm not being critical there. It was a great tribute. It was great to see everybody out there, Triple H front and center, sort of being Papa H and that sort of thing. Really sort of threw me off that they didn't do the 10 bells. We didn't do, going into the actual show now, we didn't do one of the flashback videos from last week. We didn't do the previously on NXT type thing that they usually do. They have a new opening video package. It's the same music. It is what it is, just with some updated content. And the update of the content in the intro video is most of the footage is from the no audience era. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not going to lie. But the opening contest, and here we go. There's a lot of things going into this opening contest, because over the past week, and I've seen little bits of it, so I don't know what the whole deal is. Apparently, there's been a lot of Twitter shit between Leon Ruff and Santos Escobar, the current North American champion and the current Cruiserweight champion, which I find really interesting, because one is being defended on Sunday and one is definitely not. Apparently, somewhere in the middle, what I missed is that this squabble on Twitter led to Leon Ruff getting Kurt Stallion as a tag team partner to take on Escobar's boys, Wilde and Mendoza. Now, Damian Priest heard that Kurt Stallion wasn't available for whatever reason. Hopefully it's not for any, ongoing global situation issues. But he went and asked to be the substitute. He went and asked if he could be the partner for Leon Ruff in this tag match, and then beat up Wilde in the back. So now the match that was supposed to be Kurt Stallion, and I still don't know who the fuck this guy is, and Leon Ruff versus Wilde and Mendoza, is now Damian Priest versus Leon Ruff, one of his opponents on Sunday, and taking on Escobar and Mendoza, which is kind of a bummer for me, because I think the former DJZ got the short shift in that one, did he not? Obviously, because 2/3 of the triple threat match are in the ring. The third, that makes sense, of the match on Sunday was on commentary, and that was Johnny Gargano, and Johnny Gargano on commentary is obviously awesome. Ruff and Escobar start, the Cruiserweight champion and the North American champ start the match, which has a nice little dichotomy to it. Quick pin attempt by Escobar. Mendoza works the arm, drop kick by Ruff, knees by Mendoza, forearm by Escobar, back elbow by Priest. Priest and Mendoza on the outside toss each other into the fence, chops by Mendoza, a bell clap by... I love the bell clap. It's one of those things that just, it would hurt, and it would disorient you, and it's kind of a fuck you, all in the same time. Ghostface returns in the crowd to fuck with Priest, and he gets hit by the suicide dive by Escobar. Johnny, on commentary, is just sitting there saying, hey, look, there's somebody in the crowd dressed like Ghostface. as we go into commercial break. Corner clothesline by Mendoza as we come back from commercial break. Corner dropkick by Escobar. Neckbreaker by Escobar. Kicks to the back and the head. Leg and ankle lock by Escobar. Kicks to the back and head once again. Leg and ankle lock by Escobar. Flatliner by Priest. Head scissor by Ruff. Series of kicks by Ruff. A neckbreaker and strikes by both to Priest. Corner back elbow by Priest. Forearms by Mendoza out of midair. He hits the Reckoning, but when he goes to do the big flare arm gesture that he does to do the Reckoning, he gets tagged by Ruff. So Ruff, taking advantage of the Reckoning, gets the pin. Now, it's friendly competition and friendly teamwork, but also, hey, you just kind of stole my spotlight sort of thing. Gargano is still on commentary talking shit to both of them with now two Ghostface figures behind him, behind the plexi, behind the fence. It's weird. We go to a highlight package from last week because we didn't get it at the beginning of the show, basically highlighting Pete Dunne versus Kyle O'Reilly in the ladder match to establish the men's advantage at War Games, and the masked man, who we're pretty sure is Pat McAfee, interfering, getting Pete Dunne the win, getting him the briefcase, and turning into the thumbnail of my video last week. Now, if you believe the behind-the-scenes stuff, Pat McAfee was not able to actually be there. That's why they played up the sarcastic, let's just get a big guy in a mask like McAfee was the first time so that we can say McAfee was there, even though he wasn't actually available to be on the show. Either way is good. I mean, people were speculating that it was Ridge Holland, but that dude has no legs right now. The other thing, and this is where I thought it was going to be really interesting. There was a rumor that went around shortly before NXT started that Pat McAfee wasn't going to fight at War Games himself, that he was going to substitute Tyler Bate in for himself, which was interesting. And like I said, again, from the Destiny connection and all that sort of thing, I've met Tyler Bate. Again, another really cool dude that I got a chance to meet. Jordan Devlin, our other cruiserweight champion, is also a pretty cool dude, if you're wondering. But this led me down this really unfortunate path of thought where it's like, if we could get Bate over, that means we could get Trent Seven over. If we could get Bate and Trent Seven both over here, then I wish Pat McAfee had just grabbed all three members of British Strong Style. And I hate saying that because I've been ringing the bell and tooting the horn and pulling the wagon and every other metaphor you can possibly think of to get more spotlight on Lorcan and Birch. But if those guys were available... Now, the only thing is, I don't know how, and this is going to sound shitty as well, I don't know how well Trent Seven would do in the War Games scenario. I think Tyler Bate would do all right. I think Pete Dunne has been there, has done that, and knows the drill. But I don't know. I don't know whether they're going to grow out this group. I don't know whether that's going to be a surprise thing on the night, like Kevin Owens was last year. But that was the rumor going around. That was the thing that I had read. Also, if you look at NoDQ.com, WWE got some kind of award for COVID-19 awareness. So just let that ruminate a little bit in your head. But yeah, we got a little reminder of how exactly Pete Dunne got that done, pun intended, last week. We see video of Ripley and Moon in SHOTZI's garage because they've joined the team. They bring her some big engine part for her tank, and it's all good. If you go to WWE.com, you see the individual videos of each one of them approaching SHOTZI to join the team. And I love that these... I'm biased, because I like SHOTZI Blackheart. But I love that these warehouse, these garage shots of SHOTZI just building up her tank, which I hope is awesome. If it ends up being cheesy, I'll still love it, but I'll love it more if it's awesome. I love that all these little video shorts have been the ads for the show, as well as the building for her team. Because let's be real, the women's division War Games match they've thrown together in the past couple of weeks. Now, the little story threads that got us here were already there. The Tony Storm turn was a nice twist that I'm not ashamed to admit I didn't see coming. Indy Hartwell being on the outside with the neck brace that we're going to talk about later. is a nice little red herring as well. But this is the one that needed more focus if you're going to do like a lot of video package type stuff to get it hyped up, because the Pat McAfee, Adam Cole, and thus the Pat McAfee team and Undisputed Era story has been drawn out a lot longer. I don't think it needed any more focus. The pieces just needed to come together naturally. So all this was really good. The fact that it wasn't just, you know, two people fighting in the ring, and then two people came to help them, and then two people came to help them, and oh, we all stand across the ring from each other, and there's the teams, was good, and it was different. And as I say, you get to you get a character like SHOTZI, and you can do different, weird, wacky, out of the ordinary stuff. We see a video package on the Undisputed Era and how they've been having a shitty time recently, and how they've gotten back together and refocused, and how they're gonna kick everybody's ass on Sunday, and it's all good. It's very, I will say, video packages on the Undisputed Era are always well done. We are getting into a lot of repeat territory with a lot of their video packaging, though, so that is a little bit of a concern. In the back, we see Team Candice LeRae, all five of them, because Indy Hartwell's still there with the comedy neck brace, talking shit about, you know, the other team, and, you know, they're just a ramshackle bunch of people. They don't even have a fourth person yet. We're going to show you how powerful we are. They hyped up Reina Gonzalez versus SHOTZI Blackheart in the main event tonight. My girl's in the main event, which is also awesome. It's going to be a ladder match like it was for the men's. It's going to be for the War Games advantage, like it was for the men. And then Cameron Grimes kicked the shit out of August Gray for reasons I don't know what to tell you. He came down with a strap because he's having the strap match with Dexter Lumis. I couldn't even think of his name because I really don't want to think about this match. This is the first match in the history, in the long-standing history of TakeOver, that I actually hate for the match itself. Now, I've gone on my rants about Velveteen Dream and how I don't think he should be there because of other reasons, like diddling kids. I've gone on before about matches that I don't quite understand, like this match is going to be really good, I just don't know how we got here, or hey, that's a really wacky combination that I hadn't thought of, and it still ends up being great. And even the matches that don't end up being great, like TakeOver Toronto, Mia Yim, Shayna Baszler, there's something to them. This is the first one that I hate on the face of it, and there's two sides to that coin, because A, I don't want to hate anything in NXT, but at the same time, how many takeovers have we had now? We're at takeover 32 now. We've gone 32 pay-per-views, and this is the first match that I hate for the match's sake. So on the one hand, I'm very appreciative that we've gotten this far before I've had a match like this, but also we do in fact have a match like this. Lumis sneaks up on him after the match because he's whipping Gray with the belt, and I don't care in the slightest. And also, Jake Atlas and Tony Nese had a match that, I mean, Tony Nese is one of those guys, and I know this is a disrespectful thing to say, but Tony Nese is one of those, like, shit, dude, you still have a job here, guys? Apparently he's still on 205 Live. I don't know anybody who's watching 205 Live, which sucks, because 205 Live now circulates around one of the best NXT titles. We should be watching it. I can't be bothered, guys. I'm sorry. After the match, he talks about, you know, when you have a big defeat, you have to get back on your feet, and it's a really long and drawn out and kind of awkward babyface promo. But basically, hey, I just had a match. I'm back in my winning ways. I've still got my eyes on Santos Escobar, and I've still got my eyes on that Cruiserweight Championship, which is good enough. I like Jake Atlas. Maybe don't give him a microphone just yet, but we get a video package, not on any of the teams, but on the War Games match itself. It's narrated by William Regal, and it's all good. The Kings of NXT come out, and they cut a promo on their opponents for Sunday. It's kind of cool, because Pat McAfee does start off for about a tenth of a second, paying a little bit of respects to Pat Patterson, and then immediately turning that into, hey, let me tell you about who I don't respect, which is the fans and everybody else in that locker room and anybody that likes Undisputed Era. Cuts down the fans, cuts down Undisputed Era, brags about how he built his team with money. Even the guy that's not on his team anymore, he still bought him a Mercedes or whatever the thing. And he goes on and he talks about how Lorcan and Birch are the most underrated but yet the best tag team on NXT. Talks about Pete Dunne and how he was the record-breaking NXT UK champion, and then right as he's at the sort of the apex of his hyped-up rant, Pete just takes the mic from him and says, "This Sunday we're going to end the Undisputed Era." And it's because Pat has been so hyped for like the past 5 minutes, one line from Pete Dunne just sums the whole thing up, and it's friggin' great. We then see a video package. This was a very video package heavy episode of NXT. If I can make one criticism, and it's not even really a criticism because it is a go home show. So you have to pack a lot of exposition into a go-home show, I get it. But I can also say at the same time, you know, we're not looking forward to Sunday tonight. Tonight, we're talking about tonight. If people wanted to come down really hard with the hammer on this particular show because there was a lot of exposition and a lot of segments and a lot of video packages, I can understand that. But I'm also super excited that the Grizzled Young Vets are back. We then go to this weird cinematic mafia Xia Li Boa thing, and they're getting dunked in buckets of water and basically being water tortured. They show up once again. They're getting yelled at by the older Oriental guy. They're being tortured in front of the, you know, that weird black robed figure, and we see their fingers twiddling, but we don't see who it is, obviously. And then the person in the robe just sort of gives some kind of signal, and they both get cracked in the back with kendo sticks, and that's the end of the segment. The weirder this gets, the more I'm into it. I'm not gonna lie. It's not like these two are gonna enter into like the mixed match challenge or something like that, but this is I guess a way of reinvigorating Xia Li and introducing Boa at the same time, because what's Boa done on the main roster? Or I should say, like, we know that Boa got signed, and then he had like 2 matches, and then he fucked off, and we didn't see him again until this story. So he's kind of being introduced while Xia Li is being reinvigorated, for lack of a better term. You know what else is getting reinvigorated? Hey, look at that transition. The NXT Tag Team Division. And when did you think we'd be able to say that? Grizzled Young Veterans, who we just spoke about. They're supposed to have a match with Everrise. Everrise is in the ring. Grizzled Young Veterans are coming to the ring. We didn't get the Zach Gibson typical opening promo, which is kind of a bummer. Soon to be NXT. I shouldn't do the accent. I shouldn't. It's fine. But we don't get Grizzled Young Veterans versus Everrise because Imperium are back for reasons. They kick the shit out of Everrise. They call out the Grizzled Young Veterans, and we get the Grizzled Young Veterans versus Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner instead. I'm good with that. Why am I good with that? Because Everrise are the jobber tag team right now. And I don't say that in any disrespect. That's the role they're playing right now. They are playing the tag team Zigglers. They are doing what Breezango was doing not that long ago. And that's a cool way to introduce somebody. But you know what else is a cool way to introduce somebody? Letting them have an actual real stand-up fight. And I like this a lot because the Imperium are established enough on main roster NXT that they can be an opponent for them, but they're still, I guess, boring isn't the word, but less exciting, and a legitimate team that we don't mind getting beaten. They are now where I would have put Lorcan and Birch not that long ago. Let's be real, if the whole Team Pat McAfee thing wasn't happening, this role probably would have gone to Lorcan and Birch. But Gibson and Barthel start the match. There's an arm drag and a stomp by Barthel, running hip attack by Gibson. The Grizzled Young Veterans double team in the corner. Chops by Drake, uppercuts by Barthel, double team by Imperium, backdrop driver by Fabian, mudhole by Fabian, chops and kicks and knee strikes, and a modified standing Michinoku driver. Gibson and Fabian do a cool thing. Because you know how you go to hip attack somebody and then they counter it and they hip attack you instead. Well, they counter till they get to the ropes and hip attack hip toss each other over the top rope, and both of them go out of the ring. It's kind of like when you see people in such a deep collar and elbow tie-up that they both roll to the outside, but with hip tosses. And these are big dudes, and they threw each other out. It was almost like a double elimination in the Royal Rumble. But yeah, that weird spot sent us into the commercial break. More double teaming by Grizzled Young Veterans as we come back from the commercial break. Lariat by Gibson, forearm strikes by Drake, a double kick by Imperium, Insiguri by Barthel, a butterfly release suplex by Barthel is nice. Gibson and Barthel trade some shots, each one of them hitting the other one in the throat, which is, what do you want to say about two guys punching each other in the throat? Insiguri by Drake, chops, and a catch suplex by Fabian because Marcel throws the other guy off the top turnbuckle and he catches him and he sort of loses him, and I don't know why I'm actually doing the motions. You guys don't care about the motions. I'm not suplexing anybody. I'm sitting in my desk chair doing not much. Fabian hits a frog splash style crossbody on all three other men from the top turnbuckle to the outside onto the floor, and then Everrise, being little pissants, sort of get their shots in on all four guys and fuck the fuck off. And I'm not gonna lie, I laughed a lot. After the commercial break, they were like leaving the arena. Some chick was trying to interview them, and it's like, you know what that means? That means Everrise kicks ass, baby! And then they just went, and I'm like, all right, cool. But in very short order, you've sort of... Okay, I'm not going to say they've built a division. They've given us a collection of talent that could be a division. Because you've got any two members of the Undisputed Era, the two guys from Imperium, Grizzled Young Veterans, Everrise, Breezango, Dane and Maverick for what it's worth, Lorcan and Bertre, your current champions, and the guys from Legado del Fantasma that are not Santos, so Mendoza and Wild. That's a good 7 or 8 teams that, if they decide, okay, I'm being optimistic and realistic at the same time, that could be a decent division if they take a chance to look at what they have in their hands. Now, I will say, if we're just going to be carting people over from NXT UK, because I'm sorry, I tried. I went for 3 weeks before I realized NXT UK just wasn't happening on this channel. There's a lot more other fun stuff. Me hanging out with Jake and Guapo and Kristen and doing all kinds of other shit, as opposed to, yeah, they are having shows at the BT Sports Center in front of nobody, and it's not where the rest of us are. Even the audience-free zone here is fine. But bring over 2 more teams to add to that collection that I just said. Bring over Mustache Mountain, because they're already established on this show as well. And bring over the guys from Gallus. That would be a lot of fun. Mark Coffey, Joe Coffey, and Wolfgang. Wolfgang could just come in and like squash the shit out of Leon Ruff, could he not? But then Leo Rush would get mad at us, so we can't do that either. I'm going to go over this really quickly because Thatcher came out and he was going to do another Thatcher's Thatch Can thing. He was sort of berating his student, and then he turned around and Ciampa was standing between him and his student, and Ciampa says, well, now class is in session, and Thatcher says he doesn't want to fight him, he doesn't want to fight him, he doesn't want to fight him. Then he hits him with a double leg takedown, and they grapple for a little bit. Ciampa knocks him on his fucking ass. But then the student that was just getting berated by Thatcher helps Thatcher get rid of Ciampa, and Thatcher chokes out Ciampa, and... I know I said I wanted this match, and I'm still very intrigued by this match, but of all the ways you could have got there, this was really messy. So, right before this, or sorry, I should say right after this, my mistake, it's tired in here. Right after this, the guys on commentary ran down the card, and the card only had 4 matches on it, and it was the strap match that I don't care about, the triple threat from the North American Championship, and the two War Games matches. And then we went to the backstage segment, where Thatcher, without any real announcement, says, well, yeah, I'm going to teach Ciampa some respect on Sunday. That was I don't know what to say, because again, it's not like the Loomis and Grimes situation. It's not a match I hate. I'm intrigued by the match, but you literally just basically said, here's 2 guys and they're going to fight on Sunday. It's not unlike when they announced Thatcher was going to fight Balor at, what was it, either TakeOver 30 or 31. It's not quite that bad, but mostly because I was like, Balor should be in the title picture and all that kind of thing. Here's the thing, we still don't have a title match, and it's taking me a long time to register that, because there is so much other stuff going on. And I'm sorry that my thoughts are kind of scattered, but we've gone a long time now. We had the teaser of Balor coming back, but Balor just came back to announce that Undisputed Era was back so that they could go and do their thing. It doesn't break my heart that there's no world title match this coming Sunday. I mean, clearly the guy's still got a fucked up jaw, or they would have given him something. I know there's a lot of people out there that are pulling for Balor versus Kushida, which would be a really good match, and it would be a really good make-good for Kushida's pay-per-view debut being against Velveteen Dream, which is not anything anybody wanted, I don't think. But we're not missing it, which is fine. What I'm missing more is the fact that we have other champions either not on the card or in multi-person matches that are not for titles. We're going to talk about that when we get to the obvious announcement at the end of this match here. But the primary thing being is we don't have the tag team titles in defense, because the tag team champions are in a War Games match. We don't have a cruiserweight match on the card at all. They announced the pre-show, and I can't pronounce it properly. Ariel Helwani, MMA guy, ESPN guy, is going to be with Bad News Barrett and what's his name, Sam Roberts, on the pre-show, and they didn't announce any matches for the pre-show, which I'm totally cool with. NXT takeovers not having a pre-show match has always been sort of okay to me, because I could sort of glance at the pre-show, but I didn't have to pay attention to it, which means I didn't have to pay attention to all the video packages that we've already seen. But once again, we don't have a cruiserweight title match on the card. We don't have a world title match on the card. We don't have a tag team title match on the card. We have a North American Championship match on the card, and that's it. So there's a little tiny, arrogant, sarcastic, hoping beyond hope, not really, because it shouldn't happen, part of me that thinks because it's the only match for a title, maybe the triple threat should go on last. That's definitely not going to happen, and it definitely shouldn't happen, but there's a little bit of wrestling logic that would lead you in that direction, and that's why trying to put logic in wrestling is scary and dangerous. Moving on, you know what else is dangerous? Having to be in a ladder match just to get ready for War Games. So yeah, that was my long-winded and sort of absent-minded way of transitioning into SHOTZI Blackheart versus Raquel Gonzalez in the War Games Advantage ladder match. Once again, like we did last week, and I don't know why they did this, but it does kind of look cool. Maybe that's the reason. The remaining members of the other two teams are up on the risers where SHOTZI was doing her hosting thing a couple weeks ago. Didn't know that they were kind of trapped up there because they're sort of got a railing around them, and they're risen all the way up, so I guess there is no way. Why am I saying that there's no way to get out of there? Because that's definitely going to factor in later on. We start off the match as a drop kick by SHOTZI, a forearm by SHOTZI, and a trip by Gonzalez, a backbreaker by Gonzalez, and they start brawling to the outside. SHOTZI hits a suicide drop kick into the ladder, into Gonzalez on the outside, a press slam on the ladder by Gonzalez, and a backpack sleeper by SHOTZI. SHOTZI eats the ring post, spine first, and then eats the post, spine first. SHOTZI hits a shotgun dropkick to Gonzalez into the post, because anything you can do, I can do better. SHOTZI then, and they even called it on commentary, SHOTZI crawled up the fence that's behind the plexi that's doing the guardrail thing, and did a coffin drop on Raquel Gonzalez. I like that a whole lot. I like SHOTZI Blackheart. I also like Darby Allin, for that matter. So the fact that if she's going to start using the coffin drop, I'm really, really in favor of that. Gonzalez kicks SHOTZI into the steps multiple times, sending us into commercial break. As we come back from the commercial break, we see Gonzalez hitting SHOTZI in the gut with the head of the ladder. Slingshot pancake style DDT by SHOTZI from the inside of the ring to the outside of the ring onto the apron, which has a ladder on top of it. How's that for me trying to describe what the fuck this was? And because it's a SHOTZI match, it was really, really ugly looking. One of the things I will say in the interview that she did with Lillian Garcia, and they asked her, typical, interviewer type things, where do you see yourself going from here? And the one thing she said literally was, she's like, I want some hardcore matches. I want some plunder matches. I want some matches that we can bring toys into. And we all know what toys means when you're talking about WWE. So she wants to be sort of the hardcore wrestler of the NXT women's division. And I'm 100% okay with that. That's why I figured they would have put her in the ladder match. It's why I'm really, really excited to see her and what she can do in War. I mean, the rest of them are all fantastic. All the women that are going to be in this match are fantastic. This is my most anticipated match in a long ass time. But just to hear that in that interview that specifically she wants to get out there and she wants to be doing the hardcore stuff is a lot of fun. And then you see this pancake DDT on the apron on the side from the inside to the outside thing. Just reminded me of that. This is exactly what she wants to be doing right now, and I think that's awesome. Facebuster and a stairs shot by Gonzalez. Both women battle to the top. Both women are taken down from the top. Hurricane Rana by SHOTZI, who then sets herself who then sets up Gonzalez face down in the corner, hits her with the corner cannonball face first into another folded ladder. Super Thez press from the top rope to the floor by SHOTZI, and then we go to the back where you see Indy Hartwell, comedy neck brace and all, brings a ladder to the riser where her team is, and they all come down and they all come towards the ring and all that sort of thing. And then SHOTZI's team is just somehow able to get down as well. And there's a lot of big fracas and SHOTZI gets knocked down. This was the coolest thing I've seen in a while, and it was a very, very interesting thing to see in a ladder match. But we're all wondering who the fourth person is going to be, and if it wasn't heavily implied last week, that person is Io Shirai. How does she announce this? She stands on the apron and slingshots herself from the top rope, from the apron to the top rope to the ladder, but she doesn't land on the ladder. She lands on Raquel Gonzalez's backpack sleeper style, and sort of rips her down from the ladder, and they all brawl to the outside again. Io Shirai hits a springboard moonsault from the top rope to the outside on everybody, and then breaking the stigma or the stereotype or the predictable notion that only heels should ever have the advantage in war games. SHOTZI Blackheart, only soul in the ring, gets up and gets the briefcase, and she wins the advantage for her team, and her team stands triumphant around the ladder the same way I'm hoping they stand triumphant around that cage on Sunday. This show, I'm not going to lie to you, was a mess. They're trying to build stories around the Cruiserweight Championship, which is not being defended on Sunday. They're trying to build stories in the tag team division, I think, which is also not being defended on Sunday. They put the last piece in place for the women's match, which is fine. I'm surprised that they gave the face team the advantage, which is going to give the entire match type a completely different dynamic, which I'm not opposed to. They didn't need to do anything with the Kings of NXT and Undisputed Era, because that match is already set. I was really hoping that we would get some other different kind of match. I was hoping that somehow this strap match would be taken off the card, but it's not. The triple threat match already is what it is. The fact that Leon Ruff and Damian Priest are also kind of involved in the Cruiserweight title picture now is a bit strange, at the same time as you're also trying to tell us that Jake Atlas is going to be back in that picture as well. Now, Leon Ruff, if he gets screwed out of or I shouldn't say screwed, if he loses on Sunday, which I think he will, to be perfectly honest with you, I hope he takes that momentum into the Cruiserweight division and says, yeah, I'm fighting for the Cruiserweight title now, but I've already been North American champion. I've already beaten a heavyweight, or Gargano's not a heavyweight, but I've beaten somebody for a heavyweight title. I'm going to try a lightweight title now. It's fine. Now, the other thing about that is I got to talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to that, and once again I got to mention Jordan Devlin. At some point they are going to do that Punk Cena moment where two guys hold up the exact same title and they decide that they need to find out who the real champion is. If they are bringing Pac over to the States, if they are bringing Pete Dunne over to the States, they can definitely bring somebody like Tyler Bate if they want to, bring Mustache Mountain over, bring Gallus over. Like I said, they need to bring Jordan Devlin over because that's a plot hole that needs to be addressed, in my personal opinion. Now, that might happen in a segment on the show on Sunday. Who knows? Because still, there's really only 4 matches. I really hope that strap match just gets taken off. I'm hoping against hope that match gets taken off somehow, because that match existing really pisses me off on what is otherwise a pretty cool card. We've got the triple threat, which is fine. And that sounds really dismissive. The triple threat match is going to be good. I'm fine with Gargano getting the belt back again. I'm fine with Ruff retaining the belt. I'm fine with Priest. So it's fine and not super exciting to me because I'm okay with all 3 winners, if that makes sense. I want Ciampa to come in and destroy Thatcher, just because Ciampa's somebody I actually like and Thatcher's somebody who's just kind of curious and interesting. I don't really know what to say about the War Games matches other than I have biases on all sides. I have biases towards all 4 teams. It's going to be really interesting. There's going to be a whole lot of discussion when Jake and I sit down to talk about this as to what else could happen. But the one thing I will say, and the one thought I kind of want to leave you guys with, is War Games has kind of become the signature pay-per-view of NXT. So when we talk about main roster, when the Royal Rumble is coming up, we talk about it being Royal Rumble season. When WrestleMania is coming around, we talk about WrestleMania season. WWE tries to push the narrative of Survivor Series season with the Battle of the Brands thing, and that doesn't work at all. Is War Games, and I want to know what you guys think. Put it down in the comment section below, or put it in the chat next to me where I'm talking right now. Is War Games an established enough pay-per-view right now that we can say, hey, we know when it's War Games season? Because I think they have. I think they've established that as that, and I'm really excited. I know I don't sound like it because I'm congested as hell and I'm really tired, so I'm sorry about that. But this is the go home to War Games, and I know that I have to turn around right now and I have to watch Winter is Coming, and I've already had one major point of that spoiled for me. So thanks for that, Internet. I've talked long enough. I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all of these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, tagging out. Bye, guys.